already did it.
I don't really have much to say on that, this African man, I don't agree with his ideology, but I agree with what he was saying about Obama. Obama pretty much destroyed black culture in his time. So let's play this. And y'all know I like to start off with something that with a little giggle before I move on to the next thing. But this is after you learned what Obama's agenda really was. Listen, this ain't black culture. This is this culture. This that culture.
This is another species.
And then we're gonna go on to.
That's how I feel.
These I'm sure these are all people. This is across the world. This is because N-word culture is not just America. It can be country worldwide.
It's my
The real problem is niggerism. That's the real problem. And that's the problem in all ghettos. That's the problem, niggerism, where you got people who have just been, they have died in the wool, if you will, against white America, against American structure, and they have no work ethic. You can't get a job. You can't you can build all the jobs you want. You can't make these young boys go to work. They're not going to do it. The schools teach niggerism, and that's why the immigrant problem issue is such a major issue, is because Latinos, Mexicans have not been indoctrinated with niggerism. Niggerism is to let the government take care of you. The government owes you everything. The government owes you a house. It owes you education.
That's the papa.
It owes you income. It owes you a track phone. It owes you a pair of sneakers. I mean, and this is niggerism. And that's what all the black, the Hamite, if you will, politicians, and progressive, if you will, Japheth politicians, that's what they teach. And niggas have just been beat down to the point where they have no work ethic. Detroit is suffering from a case of niggerism. And $100 million ain't gonna go nowhere except into the hands of all the thieves, the drug dealers, the politicians, and it'll be right back where it started from.
That's horrible.
Niggerism. In Detroit.
What is this?
That's wild, right?
That is ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
Is there a solution? Ooh,
and so
child. Yes, there is.
Here.
I got one for you.
Yeah. But this is the man, to me personally, that ruined it. Because I personally feel like the country was going so George Bush was coming out of office. People were so outraged because they were thinking war. That's when Kanye was like, George Bush hates black people. We were all in that phase of life. And then Obama came. And personally, I think it got worse when it came, because his agenda, what he came for versus what we thought he was coming for, I think it hurt black community versus it helped the black community, his presence. Now, Dr. Umar is going to say something that I totally disagree, because Dr. Umar don't like Trump, but he can be very good at saying things I agree with, but there's certain things I don't agree with him. Like, we don't agree with Trump with him on Trump, but what he says here is good.
You heard about Obama coming out saying that he wouldn't get away with some of the stuff that Donald Trump is doing right now.
He's correct. Barack Obama was a token nigga, and he knows it. He would have never been able to do what Donald Trump did. Barack Obama was made president for two reasons. Make the black community safe for homosexuality, and go into black Africa and make the resources safe for American corporate exploitation.
And on that, do y'all hear anything about doing anything for black Americans and the youth? Nothing. He was a token skin black man that was going to focus on non-black agendas. So the black race, when they thought that they were getting a man that was going to come in and help this culture, that was going to better this culture, and then what we thought we were getting, what Trump is actually doing, he didn't do that. And I think the black culture was already on edge, and it just made it worse because it opened up the race doors more.
Yeah.
The race doors weren't as wide open on Bush, but they got real open with Obama.
Yeah.
That was it. He had a gay agenda and he had an African resource agenda. And that was it. Barack Obama built AFRICOM in Africa. Africa Command, U.S. military bases strategically placed throughout Africa where the resources are. And now we have a president in Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, along with President Chiani and President Goita of Niger and Mali respectively. They have built the Sahel Alliance, trying to make Africa free for African people. And now this house, General Michael Langley, who's now the commander of AFRICOM, he's putting out misinformation about Ibrahim Traoré, the #1 Pan-Africanist in the world. I'm number 2, but he's number 1. And they're putting out misinformation about Ibrahim Traoré, saying that he's using the gold of Burkina Faso, not for the benefit of his people, but for his own personal gain. Nothing could be further from the truth. Their brother wears the same kind of clothes every day, eats the same kind of food. He did not accept an increase on his pay when he became president of the country. Extremely humble, just like Thomas Sankara. I believe he might be the reincarnation of the great Pan-Africanist Thomas Sankara, who actually changed the name of that country to Burkina Faso, who was murdered by his own best friend over power. And so what I'm seeing from Ibrahim Traoré and General Goita and General Chiani is exactly where Africa needs to go. Ibrahim Traoré and those other 2 brothers, all 3 of them, the Trinity, they are the most important black men in the world right now, because what they're doing is creating a reality that could potentially reshape how the world operates on behalf of black people in years to come. But they got a lot of enemies. And they even have house niggas in Africa working against them. So we got to keep them brothers, in their prayer. But that AFRICOM that they're going to try to use to overthrow our brothers in the Sahel, that was put there by Barack Obama. He made AFRICOM more popular than it had ever been before. And I do want to say this on the Donald Trump piece, Art. The DOGE, the Department of Government.
He just say one word that, about describe Trump, that y'all exclude what he said.
Efficiency that he had Elon Musk running through. Donald Trump is going to go down in history, the evil racist that he is. He's going to go down in history for being the first president in American history who had the courage, Art, to expose federal corruption throughout the entire country and shut it down. No other president ever had the courage to expose federal corruption and shut it down.
You heard about.
So that's what I want to say. So I don't.
Yeah, we know that.
You know how he thinks, but
Donald
he did.
Trump is
But
completely
he
not
said,
that person.
But it was on point though. He said on point. He said Donald Trump had.
What was the last video? Was that something separate?
That was a separate video.
Oh, okay.
He's not Trump, but Biden. No, Obama. Whoever. Just had an agenda, and then see people didn't zoom into that. He was more focused on the African nations and LGBT, trans, all that stuff like that. That was his focus.
Yeah.
He never not once said what he wanted to do for black people. So he put his. If you go look at what the White House Gov and you go look at policies that Obama had, it's like policy LGBT, policy LGBT, policy LGBT trans, policy. I'm like, and then you'll see Africa. And it's like, I mean, this is the problem. So what would the country have been? Because, what would the country have been if we would have gotten to the edge where we were with George Bush, where we were? It had gotten to the edge, but then it had gone to Hillary. So the thing is, I don't like Hillary.
Worst.
I don't like Hillary or Obama. But when I think about it, I think personally, I don't like Hillary at all. I don't like Obama at all. But I think it would have been better with Hillary than it was Obama, because Hillary wasn't pushing the same agendas.
No, she would have been pushing feminism. So you would have got that movement, the DEI and all that stuff.
Would you rather see that, or just seen the LGBT stuff go crazy?
I don't
lighten up the White House with the LGBT stuff.
Yeah, I think she still would have promoted that, but not more than the feminist movement.
I think she would have pushed war and stuff like that, but I don't think so. I think Obama and his wife would have. When they pushed that LGBT stuff, it pushed the feminist movement.
Yeah.
Still
not like. That was her whole thing. I listened to somebody's video. They were talking about that. She was or it's actually not video. It's a book that I'm reading on content.
Yeah.
And they used her as an example as to why she lost compared to Trump. And I put bull crap on the side of the margin.
I'm just saying.
But they talked about what her agendas were, and feminism would have been one of the things that she would have been promoting.
I would have rather deal with a woman saying, I don't need no man, versus one that says, I'm putting a wig on and I want your kid to wear a wig too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I would take, I still, and I can't stand neither one of them. But if you had to go to the voting poll and you had to pick one, it would have been Hillary over Obama now.
Well, now. Yeah, he clearly.
Now,
And he was the one
and
that
I don't like neither one of them.
came up with the Doge mindset, but nothing came of it.
He didn't. He came with a mindset, but never activated it because he was so focused on what he was doing.
Oh yeah, but that was supposed to have been Joe Biden's role to move forward with the Doge, with the Doge team.
All these. He was.
He did
Biden
nothing.
was brainless.
Did nothing.
He was brainless, and he was a puppet, and he was. And then as we learn more about the auto pen stuff, it's getting to the very
I'm just
end
talking
of his
about
term.
his vice presidency.
No.
With
Yeah, he was supposed to
Obama.
activate. No, I believe people start off mentally one way they want to come in, and then they get in and see all these donors and all this money they can make, and that switches, and they switch with what they originally thought they were going to do to help the people.
Yeah.
They switch to, they still think about their own personal interests.
Right.
So that's why I still love about Trump. Like, yeah, I mean, because any president's going to have some of their own personal interest in there somewhere, but he didn't come in needing the money. I don't need the money. I'm gonna get my money back through some of these tax breaks, but I didn't come in here need to go with lobbyists, and I didn't need to go ahead and sign off on immoral stuff because I needed the bread.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not looking for
this
the
role,
donors of this agenda and
Yes.
this agenda
I'm not
controlling
looking
the
to
way I'm
come
gonna go.
up while I'm president.
Correct.
Yeah, like others did. They got even richer.
Dirt rich.
Yeah.
I mean, not dirt rich, like filthy, filthy rich. So I just saw that with the clip with Obama, and I just was like looking at our culture, and I think that Obama increased black fatigue. I think we already had N-words that we already dealing with. We got black culture N-words, but I believe when he came into place and didn't do what he thought was supposed to do, things he could have done to help the culture, giving more incentives and more programs that help the N-words get out of being N-words and come into the black culture, I think we would have been a little bit better in this country versus what he didn't do.
Yeah. I can definitely. I would definitely agree.
So
yeah, but once again, that's the question: is how do you cure it? How do you resolve? When does the shift come?
N-words need to be all put together, and you got to go to your own island.
Yeah, spaceship.
You got to.
Island is too close. You need to take them and put them on.
Focus on swimming over.
Yes, put them on another planet. Let them work it out and start over.
So
that's how I feel.
So that to me, he's the source. Now I'm not gonna say. Let me take that back. Obama's not the source of this. This has been a cultural issue for forever.
For sure.
But I think this cultural issue, when it blew back up in the 80s, I believe that it was a lot different 50s, 60s, and 70s. I believe that the least racism kind of faded away from between the 80s and the 2000s. It was like not a thing like anymore. I think black people were more together in the 60s, 50s, 70s. Drugs came, boom, boom, boom. But racism faded, drugs came.
Yeah.
And then boom, then the N-word culture was birthed from these drug parents and this generational stuff. I don't believe the N-word culture was as strong as it was until we got into the 80s and 90s. These parents, the parents, and I believe that the N-word culture would be a lot less if the drugs hadn't been put into the communities. The parents would have still been in the same households raising these kids, and they would have kept this ideology going as they start having kids. So it was just a long cycle, and I think Obama could have been the one that put a wedge in between that.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think it's fixable. I don't think it's fixable. I think we're beyond fixing the mindsets of some of these people. You have to keep fixing on when these people have babies.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
So, all right.
See. All right, great people. You know what it is. Subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you. Like this video. Turn on the notification bell so when we drop a video, you'll get it, and share it.